These adorable ghost lanterns couldn't be easier to make. Roll out a piece of air-dry clay and use a plate or bowl to trace a circle with a sharp knife. Remove the trimmings and set aside. Take a ping pong ball and set it atop the neck of a jar or bottle. Gently drape the circle over your ping pong ball and begin pleating the edges to create a ghost shape. Use the tip of a knife, a straw, or chopstick to make eyes and a mouth for your ghost. Repeat with as many pieces of clay as you like. Let dry completely. Take a 2-ply napkin with a fall pattern and separate the layers. Use a small sharp scissor to cut out the shapes on the napkin. Brush a bit of Mod Podge onto your ghost and place a shape on top, gently smoothing out any wrinkles with your finger. Brush another thin layer of Mod Podge on top. Continue this process until your ghost is decorated. Let dry completely. Place your ghost on top of a faux tea light and it's ready to display. Grab some mini terracotta pots and string lights to make this easy fall-themed decor. Start by laying a strip of washi tape across the sides and bottom of one of your pots, leaving enough on each side to tuck the ends underneath. Remove the strip and lay on a cutting board. This will serve as your template for the rest of the strips. Depending on the size of your pots and the thickness of your tape, determine how many pieces you'll need for each pot. Once you have all of your pieces cut, lay them across the pots, smoothing them down and tucking the ends underneath for a neat effect. Now it's time to add your string lights. If the hole at the bottom of your pots is too small to fit the bulb, you can easily widen it by inserting the blade of a scissor and gently twisting to enlarge the hole. Insert the bulb and use a hot glue gun to attach the plastic portion of the light to the base of the pot. Repeat this with all of the pots and bulbs and let set completely. Now your lights are ready to display either indoors or out.
I'm going to do about a 1-to-1 ratio of water to paint, and then I am going to add just a splash of vegetable glycerin into here as well. When we add paint on top of the flowers, they can get a little bit more brittle, so this vegetable glycerin helps with that, but a little bit goes a long way. Yes, that saturation looks perfect. So I'm going to set this on my egg carton. I let these dry for 24 hours and then they're ready to go. Now we just need to dye 150 of them in our different colors. All right, so we have 150 of these small little wood flowers all dyed in our fall colors. Hopefully it's enough. I'm not 100% sure. I'll know once we get going. So what we're gonna be using to put all these flowers on is this lovely foam pumpkin. This is a hollow pumpkin. And then what we're gonna do to put the flowers on here, normally I would use glue, but I wanted to try something a little bit different this time. So we are going to use these flathead pins that you use often in sewing. I think this is gonna work, but I think what we're gonna do, I'm gonna probably have to test out a few different ways as we're putting this together. If we're going to put the pin in first, which, yep, that works, and then put it into our pumpkin, or put our flower down first and then put the pin in. Both work. I think my fingers are gonna hurt at the end of this, so I'm gonna grab my handy dandy pliers and we're just going to start putting those in place. Okay, I think putting the pin in first is gonna work better. So we're gonna do that and start filling this pumpkin up. This final step I realized after we had put all of our flowers in, sometimes the pin would kind of move things around and I would catch a spot where it was still the raw wood flower coming through that cream color. So what I did was that with the extra paint I still had left over, I grabbed paintbrushes and I'm going to go in all of the flowers that I'm showing a little bit of that cream color, and I'm just gonna touch those up. We're not using a ton of paint and we'll just let it sit and dry and then we're done. Well, there you have it, a explosion of fall. A mum covered pumpkin, if you will, without actually using mum flowers. There are a couple other style flowers in there just for some extra texture, but for the most part, a lot of these flowers remind me of mums with this beautiful fall jewel toned coloring.
Get out your old Christmas ornaments for these new ideas. We are going to paint all the ornaments with chalk paint. This is a mixture of black and brown, but any dark color will do. Grab some air dry clay and a small mold with interesting detail. Press the clay to fill all the gaps without leaving any air bubbles. Use an X-Acto knife to cut away the excess clay. After a few minutes, carefully remove the molded pieces. Do not wait until the clay is dry. You want to shape it around the curves of the ornaments. Now let the glue and the clay dry before painting it the same color as the ornament. Once the paint is dry, carefully brush some gold ribbon buff over the raised detail. For the next look, we are using a light beige color. You might need 2 or 3 coats for good coverage. Top that off with a coat of pearly glaze. Next, cut a piece of soft craft wire about 12 inches long. Make a tiny hole at the bottom of the ornament to feed the wire through. Fold the wire in half and string a tiny bead halfway and then give the wire a good twist. String 3 or 4 bigger pearls onto the double wire. Now feed the wire all the way through the ornament. Pull tight and wrap the wire around the neck of the ornament before replacing the cap. Back to the dark painted ornaments for our third finish. Use a firm sponge to dab half of your ornament with your gold ribbon buff. Now we can add some ribbon and bows to hang our ornaments. For the dark ornaments, I'm using a gold colored velvet ribbon, and for the pearly ornaments, black satin ribbons. And voila! There you have one-of-a-kind custom ornaments.
You're never going to believe what I turned this pumpkin into. I grabbed a 9-inch hollow craft pumpkin, drew a large arch with 2 smaller ones on either side, and I cut them out with a sharp knife. I glued the pumpkin to a board. I used a thin panel board and then cut it with the jigsaw. You could also use cardboard. Then I applied hot glue to the edge of the arch and filled it with fake moss. Make sure you can fit your hand inside the middle arch, the large one. I also lined the large arch or door with a cute vine from the dollar store. I had some pieces of birch bark and I cut those and used them for shutters on the either sides of the windows. Then I added moss all around the pumpkin. I made a ladder for the side window out of twigs, and I added acorns, pine cones, lots of different faux mosses. I added mushrooms, a gnome, a fairy, and rocks for the front walkway. Now you've turned your pumpkin into a fall fairy house. I hope this inspires you to get creative with your pumpkin this holiday season.